She had no shoes. Frost burned the tips of her toes like fire. 10 doors had closed in her face. 10 warm rooms that chose fear over mercy. On the 11th doorstep, she could not even form words, only a shaking hand and a whisper of steam in the night air. The door opened. A human stood there. He saw the trembling, the desperation, the quiet apology in her eyes. And he made a choice that would pull danger to his street, test his courage and change both of their lives. He said 4 words that split the night. "Come in. You're safe." It was the coldest night of the year. Wind moved like a living thing, slipping through the cracks of old apartment buildings and gnawing at weak windows. Hayan sat alone in his small kitchen, a cup of tea cooling in his hands. He had kept the lights low to save power. Rent was late. Work had been slow. He didn't have much, but he had heat and he had a habit that no bill could change. When he heard a knock at his door, he opened. The knock came again, soft, uneven, like a rhythm from someone who no longer trusted their own strength. Hayan rose. His building was a narrow stack of rooms, the hallway outside full of drafts and peeling paint. He unlatched the chain, pulled open the door, and first saw feet, blue-gray, bare, trembling. Then he saw the cloak, thin, torn at the edge, crusted with a glitter of frost. Finally he saw her face, half hidden by a scarf of the same thin fabric. Her eyes were wide, not the shape of human eyes, but larger, with an inner film of silver that caught the light. She shivered and tried to speak. "Please," she said. Her voice was raw. "Just warmth." Hayan stepped back at once. "Come in. You're safe." She hesitated, as if the words were a trick. Then she crossed the threshold and staggered. He caught her by the elbow. Her skin was cold like metal kept outdoors. She did not weigh much. He guided her to the small heater by the table, dragged the chair closer, and wrapped a spare blanket around her shoulders. "Tea," he said. "It's sweet. It will help." Her hands shook so hard the first sip went wide of her mouth. He steadied the cup with both of his hands around hers. The heat moved into her fingers, slow as sunrise. "Thank you," she whispered. "Name?" he asked. She swallowed. "Leary, Hayan," he said. "You knocked on other doors?" 10, she said. "All closed." He set the tea down, tried to smile, and found anger there instead. Not at her, but at those doors. At the city that put metal grates over its heart when the night turned hard. "Who did this to you?" he asked softly. "Who left you out there?" She breathed in, breathed out, and lifted the edge of her scarf. There were small crystalline lines across her cheek, like the texture of a leaf but etched in skin. Not scars, not bruises. A pattern from her species, maybe, or a sign of illness. Her eyes flicked to the window. "I'm hiding," she said. "From those who hunt people like me." Hayan felt the room draw closer around them. In this city, bounty drones sometimes swept the street after curfew, reading faces, selling fear. New laws changed fast. "People learned to look away, human?" Leary asked, voice barely there. "Yes? You help strangers?" "Sometimes," Hayan said. "Tonight, yes." She closed her eyes as if that answer alone let her body rest. Her shoulders dropped. The shivering slowed. Hayan moved to the stove and warmed a second kettle. He did not ask more questions, just watched the window while the water steamed, listening for the sound of rotors. The 10 doors that refused her would now sleep easy, with clean consciences and quiet rooms. He felt a stubborn heat rise in his chest. He would not be one of them. When he turned back, Leary's eyes were open and sharper. She noticed the missing tile by the sink, the taped crack in the cupboard door, the single jacket hung near the heater. She understood he did not have much. "You should not risk for me," she said. "Too late," Hayan answered. "I already did." A flicker of a smile touched her mouth, a shape like sunlight under a cloud, and then a wince chased it away. She had tucked her feet beneath the blanket. When Hayan knelt, he saw the damage. The skin was chafed raw in places, darkened in others. "Do you mind?" he asked, reaching for a small first aid tin. She hesitated, then nodded. He worked slow, warming his hands before touching the cold of her. The ointment smelled like mint. He dabbed it with care. She watched him as if trying to memorize each motion, each choice. "There are clinics," he said, "but they won't treat you if you're undocumented." "And even if they do, they report," she finished. "Yeah," Leary's gaze drifted to the thin curtain over the window. "I can pay," she said. "Not money, but value." She drew a small disc from a pocket in her cloak, the metal dull and scratched. She placed it on the table. The disk blinked once, then projected a tiny spiral of light, like a seashell made of stars. "What is it?" Ayan asked, the light reflecting in his eyes. "A map of safe paths and dangerous ones," Leary said. "You helped me." "I can help you. The ones who hunt me would also harm your kind." "Why?" "Because fear pays," she said simply. "And we are profitable fear." The little star shell hovered, rotating. On one side a red streak pulsed, an area marked as no passage. Ayan recognized the symbol, city patrol routes. On the other, a thin blue line traced a back alley by the river. Before he could ask how she knew, the sound he had been listening for finally came. The distant whir of a drone. Leary tensed. Ayan stood and killed the light with a touch. He moved to the window, parted the curtain by a finger's width. A small search drone coasted above the street, its white eye scanning doorways, measuring heat signatures through walls. Ayan lowered the curtain. He pointed to the small closet by the bathroom. "In there, top shelf." "Crawl space," he whispered. "Go." Leary rose. The blanket fell. The cold made her sway, but she forced her legs to move. Ayan helped her climb onto the shelf. She folded herself small, like someone who had practiced this. He slid the panel shut. The knock at his door came a heartbeat later, hard, official, the kind that expects obedience. Ayan set his face into a picture of sleepy annoyance and opened the door a crack. "Yeah?" The drone floated at eye level, the lens adjusting. A voice from its speaker was smooth and calm. "Routine welfare check. We logged a heat fluctuation. Any guests tonight?" "No," Ayan said. "Just my kettle and a drafty window. May we scan?" "No," Ayan said and let the word hang. "You need a warrant." "Or a reason that sounds like one." The drone regarded him, the way machines do, by not moving at all. Then it hummed, slow as if thinking. "We'll mark this residence as uncooperative." "You do that," Ayan said. "And I'll mark you as rude." "Good night, citizen," the drone said. It drifted away. Ayan closed the door and leaned against it, listening. The building groaned in the wind. The drone's sound faded into the distance. He counted to 30, then to 30 again. He was more afraid than he wanted to admit. Still, when he opened the closet crawl space, his voice was steady. "It's clear." Leary slid out, landing lightly on the shelf. Her breath trembled. She didn't look ready to cry. She looked ready to keep going. It was a different kind of strength. "Thank you," she said again. "Stay," Ayan said. "Until dawn. I have soup. It's not good, but it's warm," she nodded. He heated a small pot, and soon the room smelled like garlic and cheap broth. They ate from 2 chipped bowls. Between spoonfuls, stories began to trade hands. Leary spoke of a ship that brushed the edge of the system, of workers like her who left the ship to find safe houses on the ground. Most houses were not safe. 10 doors, she said. 10 faces watching me freeze. People get scared, Ayan said. They think fear is smart, is it? She asked. Sometimes, he said, but not tonight. She studied him. Humans are different than the feed say. What do the feed say? That you are loud and hungry, she said, and there was a ghost of humor there. That you buy and sell anything. That you fight. But they don't say this. She gestured to the small room. This choice, Ayan shrugged. Maybe they didn't knock on enough doors. Maybe, she whispered. They spoke until the wall clock said almost 3. The wind slowed. The building settled. Leary's eyes dipped, then lifted, then dipped again. At last Ayan stood and pointed to the bed. Take it, he said. No, yes, he said. I'll take the chair. She looked at the narrow bed, then at him, and understood refusal would waste both of their strength. All right, she said softly, but only until dawn. She hesitated. If I stay longer, danger stays too, he wanted to argue. He wanted to tell her that danger had already found everyone in this city, and that kindness was not a spark, but a shield. Instead, he nodded. Until dawn. He turned the heater down a notch, left the bedside lamp on low and took the chair by the window. The city breathed under thin clouds. Somewhere far away, sirens went from one place to another. Unsure what they were chasing, Ayan did not sleep much. When he closed his eyes, he saw 10 doors closing, and one door open. He saw the way Leary's hands had shaken around the teacup. He saw the little starshell map spinning, tracing a thin blue path of escape. He decided something then in the deep part of the night, where decisions have weight. He would not only give warmth, he would also give passage. Dawn came like a pale coin tossed onto the street. Light found the edges of the window. Leary sat up at once, the habit of a hunted person. She tested her feet and didn't wince as hard as before. "I have to move," she said. "When the market opens, the crowd can hide me. I must reach the river." Ayan nodded. "I'll go with you." "No," she said. "It's your home." "Your job." "My job pays little," he said. "My home is 4 walls and a heater. But my choice is mine." "I'm going." She opened her mouth to protest, then closed it. She saw the set of his shoulders, the angle of his jaw. She saw that saying no would only waste time. They packed fast. He put bread, a thermos of tea, and an old scarf into a small bag. She tucked the star-shelled disc back into her cloak. Before they left, Ayan wrote a note and slid it under his neighbor's door. "If the landlord asks, I'm at work early." Outside, the morning bit less than the night, but more than it should. The street was a patchwork of ice. People moved fast, heads down. Ayan and Leary joined the flow. "Keep close," he said. They took corners the way her map had shown, not the straight paths, but the ones that looked like mistakes. Twice, a patrol car glided past at the end of a block and did not see them. Once, a volunteer watchman stared too long, then decided breakfast was more important than bravery, and looked away. At the open-air market, the noise was a shield. Voices rose. Steam from food stalls made a curtain. Ayan bought 2 hot buns and handed one to Leary. She held it like a small sun, warming her palms. "Rivergate is ahead," she said softly. "Guards?" "2," she said. "Scan only." They reached the gate with a knot in their throats and a plan that wasn't much of a plan. The guards were tired, their faces pink from cold. A line of workers filed through as scanners blinked green, green, green. "Hold my arm," Ayan said. Leary did. For a second it looked like affection. For the scanner it looked like one person. They stepped forward. A red light licked the edge of the device. Ayan's heartbeat stumbled. Then a bus pulled close to the curb, too close. Its engine coughed and belched steam across the scanner post. The guard cursed, waved the steam away, and hit the override without looking. "Just go," he said. "Keep the line moving." They did. On the other side, the river path unspooled, thin and cold, but honest. Leary breathed out a laugh that wanted to be a sob. "Not done yet," Ayan said. "Your safe house?" "Under the East Bridge," she said. "An old boathouse. There is a mark on the door, a spiral." They walked fast now, feet slipping, hearts steady. The bridge rose from the river like the spine of some old animal. Beneath it, fog clung low. Ayan saw the boathouse, its paint peeling, its windows blind with frost. On the door, drawn in chalk, was a small spiral. Leary touched the mark with 2 fingers. The door opened from the inside. A face peered out. Another alien, older, with skin like dark glass and kind eyes. "Leary," the elder said, relief breaking across their features. "You made it." "Because of him," Leary said, and turned to Ayan. The elder looked at Ayan the way one looks at rain after a long drought. "Human," they said. "You chose well." "I just opened a door," Ayan said. "On a night when doors closed," the elder replied. "That is not small." Inside, the boathouse was warmer than it looked. A heater thrummed. A pot steamed. There were 2 cots and a table. Maps covered one wall marked in chalk and thread. Leary stepped in, then stopped, her hand still on the doorframe. She looked back at Ayan. "I can pay you now," she said softly. "Not money. A promise." "You don't owe me anything," he said. She shook her head. "I do. If you ever need a safe path, if you ever knock and 10 doors close, come to the river. Find the spiral. Ask for Leary. The door will open." Ayan felt something in his chest loosen, some old knot tied by years of rent notices and bad news. He nodded. "I'll remember." The elder held out a small strip of fabric, thicker than Leary's scarf, warm, woven with that same leaf-like pattern. "This is a friend's mark," they said. "Wear it inside your coat. If you are stopped, show it only to those who know. It might buy you a minute." Sometimes a minute is all a life needs. Ayan took it. The cloth felt like a promise. He stepped back into the cold. Leary stood in the doorway, framed by the warm room. For a heartbeat, the world was very simple. A human who had chosen to open a door, an alien who had chosen to trust that choice, and a city that would continue to test both of them. "Goodbye." "Ayan," she said. "Stay warm, Leary." She smiled. A real one this time, small and bright. "Because of you," the door closed. The chalk spiral remained on the wood, a quiet sign that meant, "Try here." Aryan walked home by a different route, the strip of fabric tucked inside his coat, his hand finding it now and then, as if to make sure it was still real. He passed the buildings where 10 doors had refused. He did not judge the people behind them. He saved his judgment for the voice that told them refusal was safer than kindness, that fear was smart, and mercy was waste. He reached his building. The hallway was still ugly and cold. His apartment was still small. But when he opened his door, the room felt different, like a place where a choice had left a light. He put water on for tea. He looked at the chair by the window, the blanket thrown there, the dent from a long, tense night. He imagined Liri now under the bridge, her feet warming, her shoulders relaxing. He imagined the map on the wall, with blue lines of passage growing thicker and safer, one open door at a time. The kettle sang. He poured, sweetened, and cupped the heat in both hands. Outside, the city's day began. Drones moved along their routes. People moved along theirs. Not all doors would open today. Not all choices would be brave. But a human had said, "Come in. You're safe." And somewhere under the East Bridge, an alien repeated the words to herself like a new prayer. This is how big things start, he thought. Not with speeches. With open doors, with a minute bought. With a life warmed, he took a sip and felt it spread through him. The steam blurred the window. He drew a small spiral in that steam with one finger and watched it fade. Then he sat down and waited for the next knock, not hoping for danger, not inviting it, but ready, in the simple human way that has moved mountains and ships and galaxies. When someone is freezing in the dark, you open,